Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mindshifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mindshifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Wait until the message stops and then press 1. That puts you in queue to talk to Michael. Seems like it was working pretty well yesterday. We've had several glitches over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we've gotten most of those worked out. Something happens and you call in and you press 1 and we don't pick up on you, then send a text to me or drop in a line in the chat room or something. Let us know that you're out there so that we can chat with Blog Talk while we have everything going live and figure out what all the glitches are. So we welcome you to the show. This is our Memorial Day celebration, 346. And we'll welcome Michael to the show, and then we're going to share an email and a text that we got from a couple of people of their experiences with the work. But first, let's welcome Michael to the show. Hi.
Hi, sweetie. Thank you. Delighted to be here and to be sharing the tools of forgiveness with you. I'm getting a lot of feedback, Tony. Is your phone on mute? Ah, there. Is that better? Very cool. Well, we're still working on technical glitches. But in any event, we're delighted to be here and to share the tools of the ancient Aramaic language that bring us what should I say, such a different idea of forgiveness that it's not even relative to what the world teaches as forgiveness. And our focus is the shifting and the changing of the internal dynamics of all forms of hostility or fear in all of human life on planet Earth, or at least what appears to be human. When we invite you to consider whether or not you're living a human life, we invite you to imagine holding a newborn child, and as you hold the newborn, tap into what the essence of human life is, and recognize that that's how you and I are designed to live, in that absolute awesome presence of love. And if we're not, then we're probably blaming somebody else for it. Though we're the ones who are having the experience, it's all somebody else's fault. And when Jeanie mentions Memorial Day, what we're looking to do is to put an end to the dynamic of blame on planet Earth, put an end to the game that it's all somebody else's fault, and teach each person the tools for removing hostility and fear so that we can put an end to that game on the planet. So that's where we're heading with this work. How do you put an end to war? You teach people to be responsible. And so we're inviting you to get on the team. And if you find yourself in some form of hostility or fear, and you're inclined to talk about somebody else, like what's going on inside of you must be their fault, then we'll invite you, instead of blaming them and having conversations about them, to pick up the tool of forgiveness. You can pick that tool up on our website, www.whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, there's a link that says Download Worksheets. If you go to that link, the first 7 links will give you the whole forgiveness story and coaching on step-by-step use of the tool of forgiveness. So we invite you to join us in the process of healing ourselves, each other, and the planet. Pick up that tool, and when we get a critical mass of people who have moved to the level of responsibility where they're willing to let go of all hostility and fear, then we're going to see a shift and a change. And the game of war is going to disappear, and we'll get about, what we're really designed to do as human beings. So, Jeanie, do we have Dr. Tim with us? Is David with us today?
Tim is with us, and he is on. Hey, Dr. Tim.
Hello, hello.
Hey there, good sir. How do you be?
I'm doing well, thank you. We're having a cool but sunny day here in Illinois.
It's always nice to have some sunshine, isn't it?
Very nice. We have quite a few days without it around here, and nice to get it back. Lifts the spirits of most of us, and hopefully it portends some warmer weather coming. So.
Well, I talked to my daughter yesterday. She said in St. Louis this weekend it was up in the mid-90s, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Did you not have heat this weekend in Chicago?
No, we pushed 70 one day, and then it was back into the 60s, and we'll be lucky if it hits a full 60 degrees today.
Wow. Well, it's certainly crazy weather.
Yep.
So we've missed you in the last few days. We're glad you're back to join us. Delighted to hear your voice. Any thoughts on your mind today?
Well, I've had a few things recently with the group last night that went quite well. We watched the first part of Codependence to Interdependence, the newest version that I have. I think this was recorded in maybe 2009 or thereabouts.
Right.
And, so that sparked some real powerful discussions and some people that were going through shifts just watching the video and doing the Codependence worksheet. So that was very nice. Small but powerful.
That's such a fun workshop, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting when people start to get it at different levels, that every time I give somebody advice, it's really my mind trying to give me that advice about stuff I've denied and suppressed. And as we've said on the show before, a lot of times in the group, people are shocked to hear me say that even as a therapist, when I'm in a room with somebody, if I find myself giving them advice, if I'm on a good day and I'm awake and aware, there's a part of my mind that says, okay, Tim, where do you need to apply this in your life? Because most of the time I'm not giving advice in therapy. I'm feeding back to them what they're sharing with me, and I'm asking them questions and teaching them different tools they might use. So I know if something comes out of my mouth in the format of, you really need to ... there's a part of my mind that knows I need to pay attention to that. And that's a real powerful tool. And as you say in the lecture at one point, it's really amazing when you discover what an expert advice giver you are.
Yes, for sure.
And the only way
when you apply it to yourself.
Right, that's the only way to truly discover it, is to actually turn it on yourself and find out what good results you get. Because even though my advice for somebody else might be somewhat relevant for them, it's right on the bullseye for me. And I had a gentleman come in yesterday. He's about 31 years old and gave a phenomenal testimony to this work. He does worksheets and the EFT tapping and has really been applying himself for the better part of a year. And he said to me yesterday that before he started doing this work, his weekends were miserable. They were hellish. He hated being at home. He hated being alone. He was stuck in, the negative self-talk and feeling inadequate. And he said, and now he enjoys his weekends. And literally, very little, if anything, has changed in the outside world in the pattern of the friends he has or the relationships, but his ability to be comfortable with it has completely turned around. So that's
a really common thing that I find with people who, always have to have the television on, the radio on. They have to be doing something, there always has to be a distraction. And their distraction is about, I have this terror and trauma inside of me, and if I'm quiet, I beat up on myself too much, so I do something to distract myself. And once they start forgiving and letting go of that terrorizing of themselves, all of a sudden it's like, gee, I'm pretty cool company to be with. I enjoy myself. I enjoy my quiet time and looking inside, because inside is the source of that awesome presence of love that so many people just never tap into.
Yeah, it is a real gift to be made aware of it, and then to be given some tools for how to remove the stuff that gets in the way of my awareness.
Yes, for sure.
And the other thing that happened was, yesterday I was driving and listening to some Guy Finley CDs, and he was talking again about the idea of self-knowledge. And the basic premise is that many of us are running from self-knowledge. We'll do all kinds of things to deny it and suppress it and numb ourselves out from facing increased levels of awareness about ourselves. And he keeps trying to get the point across that there is no such thing as bad self-knowledge. And that, furthermore, I can't get self-knowledge by listening to a CD or reading a book or having somebody else talk to me. The only way I get self-knowledge is by doing my own internal work to uncover and dismantle anything that's less than love, or my awareness of my true nature as love, in my system. And as I was driving, I just had this deeper level of realization about this worksheet process and the radio show and your lectures, and it reinforced for me why I listen to these things every Tuesday night. I watch the videos, and when I'm driving, rather than having inane music on or talk radio on, I either have your tapes or Way of Mastery or Guy Finley or something that nurtures me and stirs me and gets me to think. And because I had this deep level realization as he was talking about the true nature of self-knowledge and how it can only come from me doing my own internal work, that's the real draw for me to the reality management worksheet process and the Mind Shifters group. I've had people over the past year, and probably longer, say things to me like, well, you're really a follower of that Dr. Ryce guy, or you really believe in that worksheet process. And my response to each of them has been, no, I don't really follow Dr. Ryce, and I'm not really a believer in the process. But when I do the worksheets and I uncover a part of my mind that holds fear, rage, sadness, guilt, shame, and it gets opened to the possibility of healing, that's new self-knowledge. That's the core of my growing to be more free in my day-to-day interactions, growing to be happier with my life and myself as it is. And it's got nothing to do with a belief in a system. It's got nothing to do with following what somebody else says I should do. And that was a real powerful, deeper level realization yesterday. It's not about how many worksheets have I done, or how many years have I led the Mind Shifter group, or how many times have I watched this video. It's about each time I do it from the right perspective, looking into myself, how I get healing from it. That's what this is about.
That's a fabulous way of saying it and seeing it, because of course there is. You've heard me say it before, and most everybody has, that, don't believe anything I've got to say because none of it's true. The truth cannot be spoken in words. I love what the Course in Miracles says. Ultimately, it says, throw this book away. And so many people study, and try to memorize and learn all the words of the Course. And the Course says the truth can't be spoken in words. You've got to throw it away. And so there's nothing here to believe. The only idea of the words is to describe tools, and the tools are what bring that self-knowledge and knowledge of the deeper awareness of what your internal presence really is, and who's in there with you. So that's a great way to say it. That's a new way for me to think about it. So I'll definitely put that idea forward to people. There's another piece that we can tack on to the ancient Greeks. The Greeks did say, know thyself. We had to come to that self-knowledge. Most people avoid it like the plague. And, of course, because they're functioning out of, 1,000 generations of craziness. So most people don't want to look at how crazy they are. They are not interested in honest feedback on what's going on in their minds or in their lives or how ridiculous their behaviors are, because that's what keeps them from having to look inside at the deeper levels of their pain or trauma. And to me, to be able to look at that is just such a blessing.
Well, and the other thing that happens when we start doing this work is that we're so conditioned to try and figure out, okay, how do I figure this out? How do I see it? When I see it, then what do I do with it? What's the next step? And the essence of the healing only comes when you stop trying to figure it all out and you ask to be shown, and then you see it at a whole different level. And when you see the whole problem, you realize in that moment there's nothing to be done. You don't have to undo what isn't real. The only thing that's real about you is that you are this perfect creature that was made of the essence of love, and everything else, all the negative stuff, has been added on or is a bushel basket that covers that light, etc. And when you see clearly that you, out of a mistaken set of processes, have created all of this pain and sadness and fear and guilt and shame within yourself, and it's not coming from the outside, then it falls away. And so often people jump right from, well, this is a great tool, this is an impressive lecture, this is a great process. All right, what's my next step? And what do I do if I uncover that I've got fear from when I was 5 years old? And they're right back in the conscious, logical mind trying to rely on the system that got them into the pain and sadness in the first place. And that's one of the biggest challenges for people in this process, is to just slow down, breathe, make your home in the breathing unity, wake up, become fully aware of yourself in the present moment, and then ask for assistance to see how you've created this. And that worksheet process that you've assembled is one of the best tools that I've ever run across for that, to just get at an awareness that you can't think your way to. You can't use the 9-bit mind to create a picture that's going to solve the mess that you created out of the last time you used the 9-bit mind to create a picture.
Right, yeah, those pseudo-solutions of the non-being mind are a really nice set of tools. And, of course, that one of the biggest ones, that one, if I could just figure this out, then everything would be okay. And most people spend their whole lives trying to figure it out. Of course, that doesn't make anything okay. It just adds more fuel to the fire and more insanity to the process. Well, I think Jeannie's got a caller for us, too, Jeannie?
I do, and it's Miss Nene, and I was going to read a text that she had sent me yesterday, and then she's going to expand on it and explain in detail about it. She sent a text that was just expressing thanks, and she says, my life is expressing lovingly. Green card, support groups. I am dating Gus, who I met in Boca, who is also spiritually oriented, and I am on worksheet 2138. Awesome, Nene. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeannie. What a beautiful presentation. Thank you. Hello, my heart family.
Hey there, very cool. 2000, what number was it?
138.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. You are to be congratulated for being so committed.
Thank you so much. And I had I did my breathing, and Maria Colmenares, she assisted me with the healing touch process, and I do my breathing when I do that. And it was very beautiful to the process and to see how the energies, they come out of your body and how painful it is. And then as you keep your breath and the breathing connected, and then you wake up from there really in a different frequency. And then she and I were talking about, when we first started together, and that I grabbed her into the teaching, and now that she experienced the intensive for the week. And so we were talking about my progress, that in the last year and a half, and especially in the last 9 months after I did the intensive. The intensive is really, really strong. I mean, it's very powerful in how much cleansing you get, that everything started to fall in order. I remember in that time my life was still, I was in the work, and I was starting to see some clarity and starting to forgive energies from my body and my system, and my daughter started to get closer, and things started to happen to her. And then little by little, all my immigration situation cleared. I remember going through relationships and cleaning other relationships and healing through those relationships. And then I started with the support group, and how much the healing crisis. You remember, Michael, that I called and healing crisis for 2 weeks.
I remember several of the lyrics you had the courage to go through.
Oh, and I said, I called you, and I said, is this okay? Because I'm feeling this and that. And I continue, and I have to face all my money situation, all my patterns in relationships, and everything. And then little by little, the next layer, and cleaner, and then I got through my green card finally after 14 years, and then in a year everything solved, and I had all the resources available in ways that I could never imagine. Of course, your 9-bit mind cannot see anything else. And then I remember when I completed the intensive with the girls like Marie Joseph and Ray and Dayu, and we're talking about relationships, and we had our doubts. Who are we going to meet? Who is in the spiritual world? All these men, all that. And then part of my healing through relationships, I met Gustavo in Boca on March 14th, and then we became very friends, and he's also supporting me in the work. And then all of a sudden we were dating. I didn't know until now that he openly expressed his desire to be in a loving, responsible relationship. So
well, that's cool. And
now I have.
I understand
yes.
you just spent time with Marie, who was also considering that it probably wasn't possible to create a relationship like that, and now she has one that's just rocking along and having a delightful time. So that's
yes.
Cool.
Maria and I, we had early lunch the other day, and we were talking about that and how she went through the same thing. Before we got to this point, we had to grow and heal. So a lot of patterns, your pattern comes back until it's less and less and less. And she went through the same process. It's like, okay, I met somebody, what happens? 2 weeks later, nothing's there. They vanished, whatever. And as we use the tools, we use the breathing, the responsible communication, the worksheets, and the communication between, among us and calling for your support and all that, then you create, that healing, and that powerful energy then finds, manifests the other one. It attracts what is your like. So she's very happy too. And then me, that I was complaining that my Sundays I'm alone, and Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights and Friday, I was in that. And then all of a sudden I have this wonderful person that he's also in the energy work. And, well, here I am.
Very cool. Well, yes, and of course there's a wonderful definition of insanity. I think it was Einstein who came up with it. And he said, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is insane. And, there comes a point where you have to make a space in your life for that to show up. And if you fill the space with griping, complaining, and negativity, then there is no space for somebody to tap into the true level of being that they are, along with the true level of being that you are, and say, hey, I want to come and play. So it's very, very cool. I'm just delighted for you.
Yes, and then, tomorrow night, Thursday, is a Latin support group, and then Friday is the English support group. And also I noticed that the people that I help the most is that we have almost the same issues. So for me, it has been tremendous help to do the brain cells in English and Spanish. It has created that deep, profound healing in me, because I am, every day working and healing and doing worksheets with people and helping people. So the more you do, you're going to see the results.
That's for sure. Well, I'm just delighted for you. For those who don't know who Nene is a teacher of this work down in the Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton area. She's been doing several different support groups around that area out into Coral Springs. And her flyers are on the website with dates of the programs that she's got coming up. And we look forward to creating some support for you in the next couple of weeks when we're down there in Fort Lauderdale. We'll be down there probably on Saturday night or Sunday. And so we'll look forward to seeing how that all unfolds and comes together.
Yes, I look forward to seeing you and Jeanie in our groups, and they are excited that you're coming too. And, the last thing I wanted to say that Dr. Tim was talking about, we do an advice. We advise people, you should do this, you should do that. Exactly. When I say that, I go inside, okay, where do I have to apply this for myself? And it's like a continuous feedback from the universe, and because we always see what the own content of our minds, and that's when we give an advice. Hello, we're seeing something that we also need to clean.
Yeah, so many therapists don't realize they're actually therapying themselves through their clients. Few reach beyond the process of their own minds into the client's life to really create support. And it's when we clean up that internal garbage that we really can offer a space that supports people opening on new levels. So we're delighted that you're on the team and doing that, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, because Gus and I, we have a project we want to do once a month for teenagers. We want to do Why Is This Happening to Me Again for teenagers. So that will be our next, we're going to open that. We're seeing how to do it.
That is fabulous. Very cool. Any way we can support you in that, we'll be there to do it. That's just awesome.
Yep. Yeah, we'll give you the ideas and we'll talk about it. I'm sure it will manifest as lovingly as it has everything so far.
Very cool. All right, Nene, thank you for your call. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Nene started to, she first came in touch with this work in January. It was actually January the 2nd last year. We did a Y workshop, the opening of the year with the Science of Mind Center, or CSL, in Fort Lauderdale. She was there. She got and understood the forgiveness process, and she ticked off the number of worksheets, over 2,000 now. She's been doing 5 a day since that workshop, and you hear exactly what happens in terms of changing the dynamics of what's going on in your life, whether it's your finances or your children or your relationships. It's just, it's amazing. and the people who tap in and do the work. And one of the best ways to do the work is to create a support group, as Dr. Tim has said so many times on the show, that as a professional, people ask him, why do you spend your time doing that when you could be off doing paid sessions? It's like, I get the miracles too. And so it's a pretty awesome process to offer to people. And so you don't have to, when Nene first started doing the work, she had never heard of this type of thinking previously. Took it on, and I guess it's about 16, 17 months later. This is May, so it'll be about 17 months later. You hear the transformations that are going on. Part of that transformation process has been that of creating a support group. And to do a support group, you don't have to be an expert at this work. You don't really even need to know anything about it. The willingness to learn it, and then what most support groups do is acquire a set of the DVDs and start watching the DVDs. Dr. Tim, maybe you could talk a little bit about what that process has been for you in creating a support group to give people a clue as how to build a community around themselves for doing the work.
Okay, well, for me, I had the benefit of watching some work by David Hayes and his attempts to get a group going, and the missteps and the difficulties. And so I decided I would take the best of what he had going and peel away everything else. And I decided to just set up a time with this, wherever I could find the space where 10 or more people could gather with a television and a CD, and set the date and set the time and lay out which videos we would be watching when, and just open the doors and go there every week and wait to see who showed up. And I put it out with, there was a newsletter for that, the School of Intuitive Arts and Sciences that was hosting it, and then there was my own friends network and a business network, and I just kept putting it out there to people. If you know somebody who might need some help with emotional issues or relationships or physical pain, and they can't afford a therapist or don't have insurance, or even if they do, but they'd like to look at a new approach, send them to this Tuesday group. And then I just started showing up on Tuesday nights, and whether there was nobody else there or one or two other people there, I spent the first hour watching the videos and the second hour and a half answering questions and working on worksheets. And what's happened over the years is that there's the sense of community you keep referring to. It isn't like I belong to a group or a club, but somebody said it very well last night. She said, and she's probably in her 60s, and she said, I don't think I have ever felt as listened to and respected in my life as I do in this group. And she's only been coming for about 4 months, 6 months, something like that. So it's not that she comes every week. It's not that everybody comes every week and they have to. Last night we only had 3 other people plus myself. The last week we had 9 people there. So it fluctuates, and sometimes people show up for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and then we don't see them for a month or 2. But people come when they need to come, and my job as the leader of the group or the moderator is to simply hold the space of love and respect and sticking with these primary tools that are offered through the videos, and the rest takes care of itself. We have occasionally had some people show up for the group, and their attitude was, well, this is all wrong, and you're trying to make me get rid of my emotions, and I like my anger, and we don't
Been there, done that.
Yeah, we don't attack them for that. We just say, okay, well, that's not exactly what we're putting out here, and everybody has to take their own, perspective on this and try it for themselves to see how it works. And what's happened over the years is that those people just don't keep coming back. And so it's not a battle week after week. We don't have a lot of people coming to the group and trying to change our minds or pick arguments, because we don't argue. We just say the proof is in the results you get. And holding that loving space and making sure I'm there every Tuesday, and those few times when I haven't been able to be there, get somebody else who's reliable to open and close the doors and show the video. I think it's been 4 times in the last 7 years that I haven't made a Tuesday. And 2 of those were, weather shutdowns where we just canceled the group and nobody came anyway.
Snow days, eh?
Yeah, snow days. This is Chicago, not Florida.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things you remind me of when you mentioned what that woman had to say about being listened to, when I first bought Heartland as a teaching center, and we had a community, just kind of out of the blue, about a dozen people showed up. Some of them I didn't even know, who just came and said, hey, I want to help refurbish this property to turn it into a center. And my mother would have been in her early to mid-60s at that point. And she came to visit for a week. And she just became so enamored and excited about the whole process of the community that she ended up staying for about 3 months. It wasn't her intention to stay for 3 months when she first came. And I remember her saying, and it's a little different than that woman you were just speaking about, than her take, but she said, when I was a kid, this is what it was like when I was a kid. This is what we had communities. And that, while at that point she lived in a community supposedly in Florida where they had all kinds of activities and plays and just all kinds of stuff. But in terms of real, honest-to-God relationship and community, it's missing most everywhere. Getting together and drinking with the boys or gossiping with the girls isn't community, but that real, true space of support is. It's unfortunately it's become quite rare, and oftentimes people will start a support group, and because there aren't 25 people there, it's like, oh well, this isn't working. But as you say, you've had occasions where you've been there yourself, and you go ahead and you do the process anyway, or 1 people or 2 people. I can remember when I had a classroom in my home in Atlanta, I used to do a 23-hour weekend lecture series. And I remember one time I did that 23-hour lecture for 2 people, and people were like, are you crazy? It's like, no. When I made a commitment to do this, this is what I did. I made a commitment, and the commitment means that I do what I say I'm going to do. And I put 1 foot in front of the other, and I keep doing it. And, it doesn't matter where we go on the planet. If 2 people show up, if 1 person shows up, or 2,000 people show up, it's the right people, and we're there to do the work. And you just never know when the space is going to open for the next awesome miracle for yourself or for somebody else who's standing in front of you. And it's always such a delight to be present when human life really, truly shows up, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's quite the honor. It's the point of the work.
For sure. Definitely. Well, our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Push 1 if you have a question for us. Wait until the message completes before you push 1. That seems to be part of what the problem is with the glitches that we've had. And if you've called in and you're not showing up, is there anyone on the switchboard right now, Jeanie, that's putting your hand up? No. So if you do happen to have your hand up in the switchboard, if you would find a way to let us know that it's not working properly, we're still trying to get some glitches worked out, we would appreciate if you'd let us know either during or after the show so that we can get back with Blog Talk and get this squared away. It's really put a wrinkle in the show the last 10 days or so. And if you happen to be in Jacksonville, Florida, tonight, tomorrow night, Friday, we'll be doing 3 more free workshops. Tonight is the workshop communication. Did you hear what I think I said? Tomorrow night we'll be doing what I consider to be one of the pivotal and most misunderstood and most important lessons in A Course in Miracles entitled What is the World? Friday we'll do Codependence to Interdependence. And then on Saturday we'll do Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing. So if you're in the Jacksonville, Florida area, come and visit with us. We'd be delighted to share the work with you. And that's actually the end of our scheduled workshops for this season. We are looking at a couple of other venues over the next couple of months, but we're going to be taking some time to write as well and to do some other organization. And then we'll be back in Heartland, and we'll be starting a 10-day Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work project, which is kind of an economy program at Heartland that we usually do. We're changing it a little this year. Ari has volunteered to come with some of his new awesome recipes and share his food skills with us. So that'll be a lead part of that 10-day program, as well as evening workshops. We'll be planning on doing at least 2 Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing sessions in that 10 days. And we'll do work projects on the property to get the property settled and ready for the intensive season. The intensive season is going to be short this year. We've actually got 2 9-day intensives set up. A 9-day Wise is happening to me again, and a 9-day teacher training. Or if you kind of squash those 2 in together, they become a 17-day teacher training. And the prerequisite for doing the 9-day segment of the teacher training is the first 9-day Wise is happening to me again. So if you're ready to deepen your experience of this work, you might want to consider that Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work project. 9-day Wise is happening to me again. You can look at the dates, and there's a flyer on the website. And then 9-day teacher training. That's going to be the completion of our intensive season. At Heartland this year, we're actually going to be, the day after we complete that, we're going to be back on the road again and actually heading up into Canada. So lots of good things happening with the work. If you have a question or a thought for us, we'd love to hear your sweet voice. Just hit 1 on the switchboard or in the chat room. Let us know what your thoughts are, what your questions are. Jeanie, is David with us yet?
No, David's not on there. I was going to read Andy's letter whenever you get around to that.
Oh, cool. Go for it. Yes.
Okay. Open it up here. Andy is a gentleman here in Jacksonville who really has jumped into the work, and he has been sending out notices to, I'm assuming, his whole list of people. And I read part of one yesterday. And this one he sends out and says, the seemingly solid wall between me and spirit is proven again and again to be nothing but a wispy cloud, a mirage, an imagined blockade between what I am, capital letters, and what I think I am, little letters. I simply have to produce a very small willingness to take a tiny step into connecting with being. The blocks to my willingness have been in the form of fear. When will I have time to do the things I have habitually cluttered my life with or think I have to do? Who's going to be upset with me if I don't follow their plan? The fear disappears as soon as I take the first willing step. My fears revolved around moving my residence. And this isn't in his letter, but just as a side note, he was supposed to be moving this week, and he totally cleared his calendar out to, instead of moving, to attend the workshop. And then back to his letter, he says, ultimately, I own my life, which is really a choice of how to direct my energy. I don't want fear and hostility to be that director. I can direct my energy towards completing my move to the house later. My stuff will deteriorate at the same rate regardless of what room it's being kept in. A teacher is in town. There is no need to make travel arrangements, book hotels, or live out of a suitcase for a week. I encourage you to examine your priorities and see where learning to live life more joyfully and peacefully fits for you. This is what these teachings are doing in my life, and I believe they will in yours too. And then he attached information for the seminars. So we want to thank Tim, Nene, Andy, all of you for stepping in and doing your part of the work, and we really appreciate it. And there are 2 hands that just went up in the switchboard.
Awesome. Let's go for it.
First one is area code 541. You're on the air.
Hey, this is Julie from Ashland, Oregon. Hi.
Well, we haven't heard Miss Julie's voice in a few weeks. It's good to hear from you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I know. It's been a while. I was actually just trying out to see if I would get through or not, and I didn't have a problem, so that's good. And I've been going through a lot. Ed is, I just got back from visiting Ed down in San Diego, and he's facing some really hard things in his health right now. And to me, I'm seeing, I feel like I don't know how to say this. I know it's my resonances that are upset because I think he's going to die. And he thinks he's going to overcome it. But I don't see anything working. So so I was sort of like, what am I supposed to do? And I know about holding the presence of love, but well, I mean, maybe I'm not doing that well. I don't know. So that's what I'm going through, just that kind of thing.
So is it, what kind of things is it striking in you? Is this a grief process for you or loss that you're feeling? What's happening for you?
Yeah, I'm grieving already. I'm just grieving.
Well, I know that as he's been going through this process, you've shared a few different times his kind of withdrawal and kind of like he's already almost left the relationship. And so I'd certainly support you in being able to undo the parts of you that hold that as trauma and pain and loss, and really truly be able to be there to hold the space and for what he needs to do. And if he's choosing to move through what he needs to move through, and or if he chooses to leave, to give him the liberty to do what he needs to do is a big gift to offer him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you. I mean,
and I didn't realize he was having challenges at that deeper level right now. So when we finish the show, I'll certainly get on the phone and give him a call and say hello and see if we can be of any support for him.
Yeah, his family is visiting him right now. They just arrived last night, and he'll probably be preoccupied, and he'll probably say he can't talk right now, possibly. But it's hard to get him to talk about it, and his throat really hurts too, so it's hard for him to talk. And he says things like he has a bad day, and then he says that I'm better now. So he gets better from a bad day, but overall it's still getting worse. And he's doing a great job of being in the present moment with it, and he's not trying to label it as anything. Just an experience and a lesson. But I don't know. I just feel like there's something to unlock, but isn't that true of all of us? And we don't get there till we get there, So that'd be nice. He'd probably appreciate a call. So I'm looking at my stuff about it, and that's the other thing that feels weird is that in many respects what's going on with me has nothing to do with what's really going on in this case. And so I just where I come from is thinking that I actually can affect a change in someone else, that I actually have, with all the love and all that I want to give, and then it seems like it just doesn't work.
Sounds like there's a lot of pain around that for you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I know this could stem from the past too, but it's like I want to be present with him. I don't want to be, so I guess I get to just keep feeling and grieving what maybe I never grieved before. Thank you, Michael. I'm sorry to take up your radio time with.
There's nothing. Hey, But we're here for exactly this purpose. We're here to support you. There's nothing. Please let go of that sorry thought. You know, you've got a whole community here. You've got people in the Middle East listening right now. You've got people in Asia. You've got people all over America, Canada, and a whole community that's just beaming love to you right now to support you in this process. That's what this whole Mind Shifters radio show is about, is developing. You know, if you go to the ancient Aramaic, where the Greeks translated words as the kingdom of heaven, what that translates properly in Aramaic is the community of love, and that's what we're here to create, and to support each other through those difficult situations and those difficult energies by just holding that active presence of love that can be so empowering. And we do that for both you and Ed, and we do that because you deserve it, and you deserve it just because the Creator put the breath of life in you. So I'd invite you to let go of this thought that there's something to apologize for, because there's not.
Okay.
You know, if we can't get by with a little help from our friends, how are we going to do it?
I know.
So we're here for you.
I do. I can't do it all alone. I can do what I can do, so I do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm delighted that you're on the phone with us sharing what's going on so that we can be here to hold the space. That's what this community is about.
Well, thank you, everyone. I forgot about how many people there are listening, too. Yeah, well, it's bigger than I can see right now, so thank you for reminding me. I feel a lot better, thank you.
And it sounds like maybe some worksheets on helpless and hopeless might be good.
Yeah, and grieving.
Remember? Yeah, and grieving, yeah. But
grieving,
that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say grieving when my parents were divorcing, you know, feeling helpless and grieving that, you know, it all ended. The fairy tale ended, you know, whatever.
So there's the real underlying energy that needs to be processed, is that helpless, hopeless. And, you know, if you remember from the communication workshop, we talk about why responsibility communication is so important, because the minute that you use projection communication, you try to make somebody else responsible for your reality. What happens is they tend to go into and open up for files that have to do with the child trying to rectify things for the adults around them and not being able to do it. And that is the failure, the fault. It's my fault. It's hopeless and it's helpless. And so it sounds like they'd be, all four of those right now would be awesome worksheet topics for you to do, to move, now that those things are on the surface, to move those things out of your physiology so that you can just be rock solid as that place of love in your own life for yourself. And then, when appropriate, to be able to extend that to another.
Okay. So the four things were failure, hopelessness, helplessness, and I didn't get the fourth.
My fault. The child, you know, trying to console the parent, trying to fix it, watching mom and dad fight, rage, grieve, pain, separate, and the child went into the space trying to fix it, going over, you know, hugging mom and saying, "Oh, mom, let me fix this for you." In essence, that's what was being said. And, of course, the child didn't have a clue what was going on for mom, what was going on in her relationship with dad and her family and with herself, with who she looked at in the mirror every day. And so the child, there was no way the child could fix all of that. And so the first thing that the child comes across or makes up inside themselves is, I'm a failure. And, of course, there's no failure on the part of the child for not being able to fix it. The same as there's no failure on your part for not being able to fix that. It's nothing to do with failure. If you be the space of love, you're an absolute success at it. And it's not for you to change something for someone else. But when that failure happens to the small child, then the next step is, it must be my fault. And I know over the years of working with people, last 45 years, I've never seen somebody from a divorced household that didn't think it was their fault that the divorce happened.
Oh.
And so to empty that fault file of its content, to forgive all of that content becomes important. And then, of course, when it's a failure and it's my fault, now I'm hopeless because I can't do anything about it. Gee, I wanted to change this and I couldn't. So now I need to forgive hopelessness. And, of course, if I was hopeless, it's because I was helpless. And now, and many people, from the helplessness of a 5-year-old trying to fix it for mom and dad, spend their whole lives experiencing helplessness because they don't know how to forgive their helplessness. So I'd offer that sounds like probably 4 really important, and it's 4 pieces of work for all of us to do. But right now, in your relationship with Ed, it sounds like that would be the core of the work that you want to do, is to move through those things.
Yeah. Okay, Michael. Thank you. Wow. Okay. I always have my work cut out for me. It's always trying to.
Yeah, just like us humans, eh?
Yeah. Well, that's
what it takes. Well, I look forward to getting that text for those 5 worksheets today.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I'll see if I can get through my failure stuff enough to succeed in sending you a text.
Awesome.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Well, we appreciate you a lot, and we hold the space, and know that we're here for you every day. And
all right,
and just tap in. Remember that whole community all over the globe that's right there holding the space just for you right now.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you.
All right. Blessings. Take care. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
And we hold the space for Ed. We just ask everybody to focus on Ed K. You might not know him. He's been on the show a couple of times. He has been going through some physically challenging times. And we'll just see him being internally guided as each of us focuses a beam of light in his direction. He's in San Diego. Focuses that beam of light that he can ride the energy of that support into an intuitive knowing of what it is that he needs to do for his highest and best, and for his healing process at this moment in his life. So, Jeanie, we've got another caller. Let's hear from our caller.
Area code 517, you're on the...
517, welcome to the show. You're on. Hello, 517. Sounds like you're busy on another project.
Hello?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, I don't know how that happened, but evidently I got cued in without realizing it. I'm out working on a chicken coop.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, but I do have something I want to share. It's exciting.
Go for it.
So that's a divine intervention by all means. I'm out to my friend's house. I'm giving him a hand, helping him out with some work around his house, and he's a doctor anyway. He's an author, and he was just sharing with me how he's having this experience of self-awareness coming forth from his material that he's writing, the book that he's writing. And what Tim was sharing earlier, in the process, I could really resonate and do resonate fully with what Tim was sharing and his experience of, when somebody said something like, well, boy, you really following Michael, this Dr. Michael Ryce guy and blah, blah, blah. And I've had that experience because I've immersed myself so much in the work that it's just become a very...
30 seconds, Rex.
Oh, I didn't realize the time. Well, at any rate, what it is it's just beautiful because it's a self-realization process. It's a revealing to self the true nature of who we are, and it's the third time from 3 different sources I had that revealed to me again today. And it's just a blessing. Great to be a part of the work. Love you guys.
Okay, love you too. Blessings. Everybody, Come play with us tomorrow. Bring a stranger with you and create the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.